Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee. Come explore our world of coffee. Established in 2014, DeLuna Coffee is owned and operated by the Lemmix family. Ed, Courtney, and their son Brett. Ed graduated from FSU in 1979, Brett in 2009. Lifelong fans and Florida State boosters, the Lemmixes attend multiple football games every year where you can find them tailgating near the Unconquered statue. Pull up a chair and pour yourself a Palafox Place. Named after the main hub, Palafox Place in downtown Pensacola, DeLuna has combined a Brazilian, Colombian, and African bean to give it just the right flavor. This coffee can be enjoyed any time of the day. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.
From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, fueled by DeLuna Coffee.
Coffee's for closers only.
Now here's WarChant.com's Azan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant. It's fueled by DeLuna Coffee, DeLunaCoffee.com. Come explore our world of coffee. Shout out to the big homie Chicken Master on YouTube. Corey says, got my DeLuna coffee yesterday, having my first cup this morning out of my Wake Up Warchant mug. Freaking amazing stuff.
There we go. Wonder where he lives. Did he say?
No, he didn't check in. He didn't give us the stats. YouTube guy. YouTube person.
Okay. All right. Okay. What's his name?
Chicken Master.
Hmm.
And their avatar is like a ninja chicken. It's like a cartoon chicken with a mask over its face, like Zorro almost. But like like the Ninja
really
Turtles
no way
would
to
wear.
pinpoint where that person would be.
Yeah, it didn't help. Didn't help. Just wanted to describe it a little bit more. Warchant.com. I can describe it with a simple slogan: Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Promo code Warchant30. Use it. Give us a 5-star rating and a review if you would like on iTunes. That would be awesome. For real. Or, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That, too, would be pretty darn cool. Not as cool, though. It's waking up, taking a breath of fresh air, and being like, man, I'm Corey Clark. Corey Clark, what's up, bud?
Well said. Not much, buddy. I'm doing well. How are you doing? You doing all right?
Good. What's going on with the doctor appointment? HIPAA laws prevent you from talking about it. Can you elaborate?
Yeah,
Are you all right?
Obviously, that's HIPAA. Well, no, it was, they had to send something off. So we'll know here in the coming days or week. He didn't seem too worried, but you never know. So we'll see what the results are when the lab gets them back to us.
So you don't trust big city Atlanta? You come to the coziness, the one-on-one attention that you can get in Tallahassee? Is that how it works?
That's a fair question. I don't know why. I'll be honest with you. Stephanie made the appointment for me.
That's what I figured.
And she knows these people at this place, so that's why we did that. Honestly, so good times.
Grown man can't even make his own doctor's appointments. I'm here. I can't even find a girlfriend. So that's the world we live in. It's amazing. Yep. It's amazing. The world we live in allows us to go watch practice, not games, which we've always been able to watch, but now we can watch practice. So that's been pretty cool. We were able to get back at it Tuesday. The Noles going, 24, 25, maybe 26 periods. I don't know. I don't look at the screen. I'm just out there observing, watching, breathing, living it. Should we start with some observations, or should we start with the interviews we had after the practice? Let's go to the interviews after practice. I saw somebody actually do a nice follow-up and post the link to this, but when we were speaking to Marcus Woodson, the defensive backs coach, somebody asked him about the move of Akeem Dent from corner to safety. They said that he played primarily safety as a freshman, so that would have been 19 under Harlan Barnett. They moved him to corner last season and decided to move him back to safety, and said that they made him take the S2 test. I don't know if you ever heard of this, Corey. I'd not heard of it. I
haven't. No.
It's like an industry standard. Lots of NFL teams, franchises use this. It's a cognition test that weighs all sorts of crazy things: perception, trajectory estimations, your rhythm control, your timing, your distraction and impulse control. It's like a really involved sort of test to kind of see, I guess, what your mental makeup is, for lack of a summary that I can give you on it. So it's crazy. I mean, Tim Corbin, Vanderbilt's got a testimonial on the front page. So does Jeff Ireland, who's been involved with numerous NFL franchises. So Mike Norvell, pro-style offense, using pro-style tools to figure out guys and where they can fit them best. Akeem Dent, apparently best at safety.
I wonder if you can do that. Remember how in elementary school we would take those tests and it'd be like, oh, you're probably going to be a truck driver.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be a senator. Like, right. I wonder if this does that too, like for non-football, non-athletic personnel. Could like I ask too Brady?
Yeah.
And see what career path he should go down, you think?
Probably. The person who posted this, Nole21_4, said that he's heard about this S2 test and other teams using this stuff. So that's
okay.
It's a thing. So that said, Akeem Dent has moved to back to safety. Back to the future we go with that. Did he make a play in practice? I think he made a play.
An interception. If that counts as making a play
That's good. But Woodson was really happy with, he said that it was spot on, that this test really helped them get a kind of good feel for what Akeem's about and how to use him best. And there he goes. He makes an interception in 11 on 11. Like, it mattered too, not just one-on-ones, 11 on 11, the real stuff.
Right,
so.
Right.
What else stood out to you, Corey, on Tuesday? We got a lot. We got notepads. Pages
yeah, man, you had your notepad. You were scribbling furiously.
I mean,
you were like Woodward and Bernstein over there.
You said that you said you were about that notepad life, and then I don't even see you with your notepad.
I don't have one. Still don't have one. Haven't ever brought one to practice. I just do notes. I'm like Charlie Ward. I do it in my notes section on my phone.
There you go.
I'm that stood out. You know what one of the things that stood out, I thought, was the running game, especially. The running game doesn't look terrible. Like, again, we understand that in 11 on 11, they're not going to be able. They don't consistently block those guys in pass protection. It's tough. Like when they do the third down drill, it's tough. 3rd and 9, and those guys coming off the ball know that it's going to be a pass.
3rd and obvious.
Florida State's not executing at a high level right now, which most colleges probably wouldn't. But I have been pretty impressed with some of the. Really throughout the 5 practices that I've watched, 5 or 6 maybe, with the running game. I think I've seen some guys hit some holes. Corbin does have a little burst to him. So maybe that's my first observation. I'll go to that. That's a bad sign, a little bit if you're rooting for the defense. But it is good that like we've talked a lot about how the offense really has trouble doing anything through the air. In 11 on 11 in certain situations, but man, they hit some runs up the middle.
Yeah,
those guys up the middle don't do a terrible job.
It's weird because there's a lot of jailbreaks going on when they're in those 3rd and obvious shoot, even sometimes when it's not 3rd and obvious in passing situations. But I feel like the only time they're not successful, like they're successful running the ball by and large, it feels like the only time I've seen negative plays is usually on RPO stuff or read option stuff where it doesn't go right.
Yeah.
But when they design a run and it's run the whole way, they're getting yards. And I don't know, I find that encouraging more than anything. I don't look at that as some sort of indictment on the defense. I do think some of those runs, and you kind of pointed out live when we were watching it, coming against, maybe not the lead group. So, and that's been a concern since day one, right? The depth of the defensive line. So that's not news.
And another thing that stood out, I thought, and it was just a single play, but in, I guess it was 11 on 11. That Malik McClain took like I don't know what you call it, like a shallow cross, like a little drag screen pass against the blitz. Now, it was a perfectly timed play because it came against the blitz, but he caught it about 8 yards, 7 yards downfield, and then he's got he's got some speed to him now, man. Like that I knew he was an athlete clearly, but he had a little wiggle to make somebody miss, and then he hit top gear and nobody was catching him. And that was something to see. That was kind of a sight to behold, really. And you start thinking, okay, maybe in 3 years that guy, clearly he's probably going to have to play this year. But in 2 or 3 years, you start thinking down the road, okay, he might be something. Like, the body type is there. The speed is certainly there. And that happened in the IPF.
Yeah.
So it happened at ground level. And it was pretty impressive to see him hit full speed like that. Now, they blew it dead. They gave him like maybe an 18-yard gain. But he was running full speed, and DBs were running full speed to catch him when they blew the whistle, and they weren't catching him. They weren't gaining on him. He was separating. And that was something to see, and it would have been I think a 70-yard touchdown in a real game. That was probably the most impressive offensive play of the day.
I don't know if it's Aslan being Aslan on here, but I feel some of this stuff is more geared and tailored towards the offense. Are they tackling guys to the ground? I still feel like they're kind of in a bit of a thud. So I think they're not going at these guys with the most violent, evil intentions. They're not taking it easy either, but I don't know if the defense, like when guys are in the open field, it's not trying to take guys' heads off. So you are going to look a little bit more impressive. But nonetheless, that still would have been like a chunk play. That was 25-plus yards easy, for sure. I just don't know if it would have been like 7.
Yeah, and I think just the way the defenders were set up, it was going to be a race to the end zone. It didn't look like he was going to lose. I'm not sure he'd lose to many guys on that team. So, I thought that was good to see. He shook a guy. But you're right. They're not diving at his legs. Yeah. They're not trying to trip him up. But he let, those guys didn't have much of a chance there in the open field. It was good to see that kind of wiggle. Yeah. So, but big plays, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at. Just get used to making them. Now he's made a few this summer or this fall camp, and then he made a couple in the spring game, at least one. I think he made 2 in the spring game. So that's good. The more you do it, the more you expect to do it. It's all about repetition. It's all about confidence, and that kid should have some right now.
Well, and it goes back to what Kenny said a while back, and I'll probably keep referring to it throughout the season. But just, man, on offense, you either have to be consistency elite or elite consistently. One or the other. You know what I'm saying? Basically, you have to be able to perform at a really consistently high level and move the ball on offense to be successful, or you have to be able to have explosive big chunk plays. And I think the way this offense is at least built right now with the personnel and where they're at, yeah, man, and it's not a knock against them. I don't know how many of those offenses really exist any longer. Like the Jimbo 13, although, man, we hit some big plays. That wasn't always 9 plays, 75 yards.
No.
But, yeah, man, they've got guys that can do that sort of stuff. On that same play, I want to point out, good block by DJ Williams. David Johnson, Coach Yak, chased him down the field and was really happy, smacking him on the helmet, telling him how good of a job he did on that. So, yeah, these aren't Greg Carr jump ball passes.
Right.
These are well-designed things that they're executing at a high level. So that was a good play to pick out. For me, I would just say kind of, on a more, I don't know, say big picture level, but Dennis Briggs, I thought, had a really good day. So he was quite disruptive several times, pass rush, breaking up or having some tackles for loss in the backfield. So that's good because that gives you like that 6th guy. If Jarrett Jackson is your quote X factor, you've got Cooper, you've got Fabian Lovett, you got Keir Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, you're starting 4 most likely. If you get Briggs and Jarrett Jackson, that lifts you up a little bit. I know they probably want 6 guys on the interior, let alone just 6 on the front 4, but
right.
That gives you a little bit of hope. I know Briggs is one of those kind of guys that people are like, hey, don't forget about him. He's a 4-star recruit. It's like, yeah, I get you, but they all don't pan out. But he had a good day, and that was encouraging to me.
And I feel like they're versatile too, right? Like Keir Thomas and Briggs, I think are guys that, depending on the situation, could move inside or move outside. They can move around a little bit. Like we know what Jermaine Johnson is, but I feel like Thomas and Briggs can be. It's only 6 guys. You definitely want more. But I think they've proven they can be versatile. They've proven in the past that they can play multiple positions in certain reps, right?
Yeah.
So in certain situations, so that's a positive. And yeah, the defense again, I would say was mostly dominant. They had Quayshawn Fuller made a really nice read on a like an errant kind of middle screen pass, and that would have been a pick 6. That was a really nice play. Akeem Dent, like we said, had the interception in 11-on-11.
Deloach had a pick. George Wilson had a pick.
That might have been a pick 6 too. Deloach's might have been a pick 6. George Wilson had one on a deflection. Mm-hmm. But that was good for him to come down and still follow the ball because that ball was thrown 15 yards downfield and it went straight up in the air, and he was there to pick it off. He
flashes. He's flashes to me, George Wilson. I mean, I know he's a little bit maybe not as he doesn't weigh as much as they want him to weigh, but who does as a true freshman? He's someone to keep an eye on for sure moving forward.
And I think it was the play that Fuller had the interception. I think it was Jermaine Johnson was back there in a flash and created the turnover. Again, that's the thing that could happen once or twice a game. No, he's not going to create a turnover once or twice a game, probably not. But creating a bad throw by the quarterback or a negative play. He should be able to do that multiple times per game. It's almost like they don't even play him a ton. Like he's healthy. He plays and he goes and he has a burst, but they don't play him a ton. At least they didn't. I didn't think on Monday. It's almost because they want to see the other guys because they know a little bit what they got in him. and they don't want him. Maybe even Norvell. I've said this before, and it might get to a point where it's true, where he requests, can you sit him out for a couple series so we can get some work done and see how this goes. So that was just overall, I thought the defense played well, but the offense had some plays. A couple receivers made nice plays, and then there was a really nice play. They did 11-on-11 red zone, and the offense only scored once because that's what happens. But the one they scored was a really well-designed screen pass. And Jackson West, it was a well-designed screen pass because it came against a blitz off the edge. But if Jackson West doesn't make a really nice kick-out block about 3 or 4 yards downfield, Corbin has a 4-yard gain.
The Corbin. Oh, that was beautiful. There was a little wrinkle to it that I'd love to tell you what the wrinkle was, everybody, but I can't tell you what the wrinkle was. But it was a beautifully designed and executed screen play.
But the way Jackson West came back and made that block was what sprung it. As well as it was executed, it's still only a 4-yard gain if he doesn't make that block, come back and make that block, and he does, and Corbin reads it, comes off it, and gets into the end zone. So, yeah, man, that was – overall, again, I think this is going to be a broken record for the next 2 weeks or so. The defense is better than the offense right now. But the offense, if you're worried, the offense is showing the ability to make some plays downfield. They don't block it up great. Offensive linemen are being switched around occasionally. Half the snaps are going overheads or going to the right. They got to get that figured out for sure.
False starts are happening too.
Yeah, but not like every other play. But not crazy amount. It's not zero. It's not perfect. But the snaps need to get figured out. That's something they got 2.5 weeks now to fix. But overall, they are showing the ability to make some plays.
Portier made some pretty nice catches. I thought Pokey looked good. Like returning kicks, he just looks fluid. He looks like he's fast, comfortable. He looks like he's comfortable doing that. I don't know how many guys they have that are naturally really comfortable returning kicks and punts. Pokey's one of those guys. Lloyd Willis had a real good downfield block on a screen pass. Alex Atkins chased him down to give him some love, some positive reinforcement. And then also in red zone, Deontay Sheffield had a nice strong run. Took a couple guys with him into the end zone. And I think that was before the screen pass touchdown that went to Corbin. So there was a little bit of everything. But defense still had more. Their negative plays outweighed the chunk plays that we saw from the offense. But, hey, both sides are doing it. You don't want to see this all weighed one side. Otherwise, you're just sitting here and you're like, what are we really? Are we the 85 Bears? No. So it's good to see that both sides are getting their licks in, if you will, I guess.
Amen, Aslan. Amen.
All right. Did you write up anything or did you do observations? We spoke to Shyheim Brown. We also spoke to Hunter Washington and Malik McClain. I wasn't hanging out with Malik McClain, so I only got to speak to Hunter Washington and Shyheim Brown. Impressed by Shyheim. Like, just the way he looks physically. I thought he'd be like some sort of babyface freshman. That guy he looks like he's 21 or so. And
no, he does. More than that. Well. He looks older than that. I asked him about, he said Brian Allen for you. The younger listeners that don't remember, Brian Allen was a all-conference-ish linebacker in the late era of the dynasty, like 99, 2000. He was on those teams. He was a starting linebacker, second-round pick, played in the league for a few years. Really, really good player. That's his coach at Lake City, at Columbia. And what Shyheim Brown said was like, I think Brian Allen trying to convince him to go to Florida State was like, everybody that's come out of this school that went to Florida State has made it in the league. And that includes him, Renard Wilson, Timmy Jernigan. So it's a nice pipeline of Columbia guys to Florida State. And he said, he was really not heralded, right? Like he was one of their lesser-known recruits, I guess, is what it sounds like. Yes. And so he said he didn't really give college much attention. He played corner his first 3 years, so he's only been playing safety now for a year and a month. He played 1 year of high school, 1 year of safety at high school. But he said that, Brian Allen was a big reason why he's there because he sold Florida State, but also he went the extra mile to suggest him to Florida State. And, you might say, well, of course he did. That's his player. Of course he's going to suggest him to Florida State. Well, you don't want to, if you make too many if you look out for your own high school kids at the expense of the colleges you're swearing to, like, I promise you this kid can play, and he can't, they're going to stop recruiting your kids. They're not going to believe you. It's going to have to be off the film. Like, the guy's going to have to be incredible. They're not going to. So Brian Allen was, kind of staking his reputation on Shyheim Brown, and even telling them, as we talked about maybe a week or two ago, about how he would be a player that could have played with them in the dynasty. That's how he sold him to this coaching staff, and it turns out he wasn't. I mean, I'm not saying he was going to be, knocking Derek Gibson out of the starting lineup. I don't know about that claim. But he can certainly play with this Florida State team. He stands out a lot, man. He makes some plays, even in a play where they ended up scoring a touchdown. Nice pass from Chuba to I think it was Chuba to Toafili in the end zone on 7-on-7. Shyheim Brown still laid out Toafili, not like a crazy dirty hit. He just hit him while he was in the air, shoulder to shoulder, and it was a thud. It was a big time hit, and Toafili did a nice job of hanging on to it. But the kid is just. He's a hitter, man. He can move, he can run, he's got a great frame, as you said, but he's got ill intentions. And that's, man, that's good to see out of a safety. I don't know that Akeem Dent is like the biggest hitter in the world. Shyheim Brown might be a guy like that. He might be like a Nasruddin type. Big, rangy, that really likes to hit. And you need all those guys you can get. Yeah, I like him. And I thought he was impressive in the interview, too.
Yeah, he's easy to root for because also he expressed like how appreciative he was that Brian Allen. He's like Coach Allen stuck his neck out for me, and I have to prove him right. I mean, a lot of guys
let him down.
Yeah, a lot of guys these days really it's like, hey, like you're lucky that you came upon me. Like it's not me that's lucky that you're giving me the opportunity. I'm the one that's giving you the opportunity to coach me. But he kind of realizes that his options maybe weren't there at first. Florida State came on, and then other teams started. Turned up some heat, but to hear him kind of talk about the fact that he realizes, to your point, that Brian Allen can only so many times go to this staff and be like, hey, trust me on this stuff, and then if it doesn't work out, then he's going to hurt other kids in his program. But he stepped up, and Shyheim realizes how important that was, and super appreciative again of his coach stepping up for him.
Yeah, so. I do. It'll be interesting to see. I don't expect him to play a ton early. But it'll be interesting to see how much he ends up playing by the end of the year, because I do think they think he might be a little bit of the future at that position and on the defense as a whole. Just the way they talk about him, like he's always somebody they bring up. Remember LaMarcus Joyner didn't play a ton as a freshman,
right?
Like it wasn't like he was out there starting day one. I don't know that he started a game. Plus, he was I think it was a corner. They did a lot of things with LaMarcus, but he played some, but he wasn't a guy that played a ton as a freshman. It's just hard to do. So don't just because we're talking about him now doesn't mean where's 38, man. That's his number, by the way. Where's 38? I thought you said this guy was that could have played in the dynasty. He's a freshman, so we're going to ease into that. But you like what you see, out of him, and I think. The way Woodson talked, he likes all three of the DB, and it'd be weird. Again, he's not going to say, "Well, we hit on two of the three." He's not going to say that when he's talking about current recruits, but he did say he went out of his way to say how good the freshman DBs have been played, and that they hit on all three of them. And I don't know. I don't think it's too early to know that, right? I think 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks into fall camp, and at least a couple of them were here for the spring. I don't think it's too early to say, yeah, we know these guys. We did well here. We hit. You don't know if you hit a home run, but it's a base hit. You didn't foul this one off, or it's not a swing and a miss. These guys will contribute and they will play, and I think they think that about all three of those guys.
Yeah, he had really good things to say about the class of 2021.
Yeah,
Kevin Noles, the other guy in the mix there, who's been making plays and getting.
And Washington, right? Hunter Washington.
Yeah, who we spoke to. So check out that interview. It's there. You can read. You can listen to the whole thing. You don't need me to tell you what he said. You're grown folks. You can go listen to it. You want to do it yourself. Listen to what he says instead of straight from the horse's mouth. By the way, LaMarcus played in all 14 games in 2010, but did not start. So.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, they did a good job back, especially 2010. They had a lot of close games, but I just feel like they made a effort. And plus, he was good, but they made an effort to play those freshmen as much as possible to get them some learning experience. They were looking down the road a little bit. But yeah, he didn't start, but I know he did play. How many do you have his stats?
Kind of. I'm a Noel fan. I've learned my lesson.
Okay.
What do you want to know?
Just how many tackles he had?
18 unassisted, 23 total.
And I bet a few of those were on special teams. He was a special teams demon, so probably more than a few of those.
And
so let's say he had
a pick against Miami. I don't even remember that.
He had what?
He had a pick against Miami.
Yeah,
I don't even remember.
That's
that.
right. I think it was in the fourth quarter when the game was out of reach. But still, he was out there having that was the Chris Thompson game.
Yeah, I remember that.
Back-to-back.
My buddy got married Miami game that year. And then we all, we TiVo'd it. We're all going to go back to our other friend's house and watch it in his theater. And then the thing is, when we got back to the house in his theater, the last frame of the recording was frozen on the screen. So it showed the final score of the game. So, we walked in and we're like, spoiler alert.
At least you knew, though, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like,
at least you knew it was going to be a fun watch.
It was like we just said, what to Miami? Let's go.
Yeah, that was scary because Miami was the favorite that day. So I'd imagine LaMarcus had 16, 17 tackles as a freshman, and we all know how good he ended up being. So yeah, don't judge old Shyheim about what he doesn't do as a freshman. Just know that there's some real potential there. I like that guy. I think he has a chance to be a really good player for them. Oh,
and shout out to the walk-on. Didn't even put in here. Nicest pass of the night or the day probably was early in, I think, 11-on-11, or maybe it was 7-on-7. Tate Rodemaker to Parker Self. It's a beautifully thrown rainbow. Give them some love, Aslan.
Oh, it was, yeah, Parker Self. He had a couple big plays, I thought. Old Self Dog, old PS.
I had something on my mind I want to talk about. Yeah, how about this?
Tim Tebow?
Yeah. No. We should get to that maybe. That would be fun. Let's beat up on that dude. But Marcus Woodson talking about Travis J, and we keep talking about, I guess us in the media, fans, just Travis J, how versatile he is. And then, Marcus Woodson kind of echoes the fact that he is versatile, and they're trying to figure out. But LaMarcus Joyner was really versatile.
Mm-hmm.
But they would kind of figure out a home for him every season, it felt like. I don't know how much he bounced around in the course of a game. Jalen Ramsey was really versatile. He probably could have played safety really well, but he was a really good cornerback, so they just left him at cornerback. Does Travis J not have an island right now? Is he a guy without a home, it almost feels like? I feel like Akeem Dent, this is the last sort of option. I mean, you've bounced back and forth between safety. I guess I don't know why it's different this time around. I guess you could say now he's actually playing safety under Fuller rather than Harlan Barnett, so okay, I'll give you that.
Well, and don't forget, when he did, and he wasn't like a traditional safety. He was like the nickel safety. I don't know what even they call that. I don't remember what Harlan Barnett called that position, but it wasn't just straight up like safety or straight up corner.
Star. Shyheim Brown said he plays Buck, and I'm like, I thought Buck was like your outside linebacker type. But I digress.
Well, but yes, he's playing the Buck safety position. But with Dent, he was good as a freshman.
He just didn't catch it, but he was at the right place at the right time a lot.
He couldn't catch the ball, but he he was one of the leaders in the conference in passes deflected / dropped. But he was there to make 5 or 6 or 8 interceptions. He did a good job in limited in not a huge sample size. Last year he was horrible, to the point where he was an afterthought. I think there were multiple people that didn't even have him in the top 40. But as a freshman, he showed glimpses of being okay. He might be the next guy. And then I guess they moved him to corner. They wanted him to just play corner, and he wasn't great as just a straight corner. So they want him back more in the middle of the field where he can break on, see the field, see the quarterbacks, read the quarterback's eyes, read things happening in front of him instead of just covering somebody one-on-one. And he seems to have taken to it. So again, though, he does have. It's not like he's been horrible for 2 years. He wasn't good last year, but as a freshman, I thought, he was really
other than the Florida game.
Well, right, and even that it wasn't that he was terrible. It was that he stood over a kid after he just scored a touchdown. But which again, get all that out of you, man. But the fact that he made plays or almost made a ton of plays. I thought it was a great precursor of him becoming a really good player, and then he just took a nosedive last year. So, again, it's not like he's been horrible his whole career. He's shown some serious flashes and potential. Maybe he'll be that guy again, except now he can catch. We saw him catch.
We did.
We saw him catch that ball, Aslan. We were there.
It happened right in front of us.
Akeem Dent caught an interception right in front of us.
Things are looking up. Mark me for 7 wins now. Put me up. Bump me up. I'm from 6. I'm going up to 7.
Akeem Dent, he's a ball hawk.
What about Travis J, though? Do you think this is them trying to figure out where to put him ultimately, or is it like instead of him being elite at one of these positions, they're just kind of resigned to the fact that he'll be good at multiple positions and just going to kind of fit him into whatever kind of down and distance situation they're in.
It's one of the cool things about being a coach, but also one of the, I guess, probably the frustrating things. And I can equate it to baseball a little bit on Brady's team. I haven't talked about Brady in a while. It's time to bring it back.
Yeah, come on.
Brady's team last year, Brady was one of the best fielders on his team. It would have been one of the best infielders. But he was, you guys know I don't talk up my kid too much and talk about how good he is at stuff. But he was an exceptional center fielder. Like, if you went to a 20-team tournament, he would probably be the best center fielder in those tournaments.
Trout-esque?
He's got, I don't know where he got it because I didn't play the outfield growing up. Since he's been 9 years old, he's had the ability to, like, track the ball off the bat very well, read the depth of it usually really well. He's got a good arm so he can throw kids out, and he goes and gets everything. Like, he's one of those kids that he's running full speed until he hits a fence or until the ball drops in front of him. He doesn't.
Oh, man.
So anyway, he's an exceptional outfielder. So he wanted to play the infield, and they did let him play some. But I told him, like, you and EJ, when it comes to the infield, are very close. It's like neck and neck. So yeah, they could put you at shortstop or put you at second, but then center field becomes much weaker than if you're playing center field. Like, there's not much separation between you and him or you and whoever at second. But there's a lot of separation with you and somebody else at center field. So for the purposes of this team, the defense is better as a whole with you in center field, because then you have an excellent center fielder and a second baseman that's pretty good, a shortstop that's pretty good, which is what Brady is. Brady's a pretty good shortstop, but a great, you know what I mean? So the difference between him and the shortstop wasn't much. The difference between him and that same kid in center field was a lot. So of course, you put the better center fielder in center field, and maybe it's similar to that with Travis Jay, where you're like, okay, he could play this position. He's a little bit better than this kid at this position, but this is the only position that that player X can play. Gotcha. Meanwhile, Travis can play this position as well and be pretty good there, and that gets us a chance to have our best players on the field. As opposed to, say you have two, it does, the versatility does help in that, say Travis Jay plays some games at corner, he plays some games at safety, nickel, buck, whatever. He's versatile enough to be good probably at whatever position he plays, but not everybody's like that. Like, just for instance, say Jamie Robinson isn't like that. Jamie Robinson's only position that he can play is the same position that Travis Jay plays. Well, you want Travis Jay to be on the field, but you also want Jamie Robinson to be on the field. So that's why it's good to have versatility. The versatility of Travis Jay makes probably the defense a little bit better as a whole, even if maybe he's a little bit better at another position. Did all that make any sense at all?
Yeah, no, I think ultimately, I appreciate it. Well done, Corey. I think they got to figure out where he's going to be in playing safety, one of the safety positions, because the cornerback, to me, that's a crazy thing. Like, I don't know who their two best cornerbacks are, because I think the guys they were going to depend on leaving spring are not available for them right now. Like, Jarvis Brownlee's like the only, I think, like, really true cornerback that they have that's not a freshman right now. And I hope that was sort of vague enough.
Well, they got Miko Dotson too, and Jarian Jones, but Jarian Jones isn't playing right now because of a hand thing.
That's what I'm saying, man. These guys,
but he will be able to play, which is good, right? Like, that's not going to keep him out for the season.
No.
But he's not able to play right now. But yeah, it's Brownlee and a bunch of guys that really haven't proven themselves that much. So that helps. When you don't have numbers at a certain position, it helps that you can have a guy that can come on down and play that position if you need him to. Better than like, Shyheim Brown or Jamie Robinson. Travis Jay is a guy that if you need him to in a pinch can go play corner.
Yeah. All right, way to go, Corey. Thanks for that. Seriously, that was sincere. You broke it down, and we got some Brady Clark on the show, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, finally. It's been too long. I'm sorry, Brady. And by the way, I've always thought that kid's future is baseball. Not that he's going to be a college athlete or a pro athlete or anything, but his best chance of playing high school athletics.
Underestimate Brady Clark at your own peril.
But man, every time I talk to him on the phone or FaceTime him, I'm like, "What'd you do today?" He's like, "Well, I shot for about an hour and a half. I shot for 50 minutes." And that's all he wants to do is at his mom's anyway, because they have a basketball goal, is just shoot. Dribble, practice basketball, and shoot. And I just want to be like, buddy, you are not going to be 6 foot. You are not going to be able to jump over a phone book. I love you to death. You can do anything you want. Steve Nash, he was 5'10". It can happen. But man, you gotta, you kind of want to veer him into another direction. But hey, if it's his passion, it's his passion. He also does have to practice baseball 3 times a week. So when he's not doing that, you can just tell, right? What the kid does on his own when nobody's asking him to do it is probably their passion, and his passion is basketball. Man, just
does he play in any leagues? Because I know all these high school coaches are so anti-specialization. They want guys that play all these sports, but I think a lot of it is they want them to play the sport that's in season, so they're actually competing, so they're under stress. Like that's the most important part for the anti-specialization, is these guys actually playing games, not AAU stuff and 7-on-7.
Yeah, no, he played in a pretty good rec league up there, and like I said, he had a buzzer beater 3 in one of the games. I saw him score 19 in a game. Which, if you watch these leagues, a kid of Brady's size and athleticism isn't out there scoring 19 and 20 points. He scored 20 in another. Like, that's not normal. So he does have a little bit of ability. He certainly loves to shoot. Good grief. He's got some ability, but it's like that, you just wonder what the ceiling is. But yeah, I'm not pushing him away from it if he wants to. And I've told him, like, dude, if you really want to go after basketball, we can go. I'll get you somebody that can really teach you how to dribble and get you in shape a little bit more. But we'll see. I feel like baseball, you don't have to be 6'6". I mean, just look at the summer league, dude. By the way, shout out to Trent Forrest. Had another poster dunk.
What's going on with Chipley
Killed it
Trent?
for the Jazz. Killed it for the Jazz in the summer league. He's on another. They signed him to another 2-way contract. But I think the way he played in the summer league, they're thinking long and hard about him being the backup point guard. So shout out to him. There are other guys obviously that played well in the summer league, but yeah, you look at that's Trent Forrest. Like, Trent Forrest is a guy. Well, Trent Forrest is a good example because he played at Florida State and won a lot of games and was really good. But you watch these summer league games, and there are 8 of the 10 guys on the floor are guys you've never heard of. Never heard of.
Yeah.
And some guy will have this dunk where it looks like he sits on the rim. He just puts his crotch on the rim. You're like, oh yeah, this is Joe Smith out of East Tennessee State College. It's like, what? Like, there's just guys like this all around the world that just they look like they're on a little kid gym, like a little kid goal on the bedroom door is how they handle it. And meanwhile, I don't know if Brady will ever be able to touch the net when he jumps. So that's the issue with basketball. But even making a high school team is going to be tough for him. But he loves it, man. So we'll see how it shakes out. He's also in theater, advanced theater.
He's still doing the thespian thing.
Yeah, well, he didn't do it last year, even though the teacher wanted him to, mainly because he's a loud reader, so she liked him. But yeah, he's doing it this year. He's there aren't many boys in the class, which he's okay with because well, I won't get into Brady's personal life, but there might be someone in that theater class that he's very excited is in that theater class.
Okay.
Which might have led him to want to be in that class.
Let's go, Brady.
So we'll see. It's 8th grade. We'll see how this plays out. I'll keep you guys abreast of the situation.
2 things before we go.
That was unfortunate wording there. I'll keep you guys up to date in what's going on with Brady and acting.
2 final things. One football related, one just a little bit fun, and maybe we can go on a high note. But shout out to Irish O'Fell, always staying nimble and agile, trying to create content for you folks. Man, it's we're at Warchant's at ESPN and Florida State right now. Every minute you go on the website, it feels like there's something new, content-wise, provided by Ira or you, Austin,
and
Jeff
the
and Tom.
YouTube site too. It's just out of control, folks. You better subscribe if you haven't.
Cooking. So he spoke to a handicapper at VegasInsider.com, and he broke it down to Ira that looking at Florida State's schedule, 4 likely wins, 2 swing games. The other 6, he projects Florida State to be an underdog and lose, which puts the number that's, the 5.5 number. Vegas strikes again. What do you think about that? The 4 wins, Jacksonville State, UMass, Syracuse, and Louisville, which, 3 of those 4, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Louisville, I'm like, I feel like Louisville's kind of a swing, but I'd say 70-30, so not a true 50-51. He's got NC State and Miami as your swing games. The rest, mainly the road games, with the exception of Notre Dame. He's got them probably double-digit dogs in those games. Sound about right? Disrespectful, or what do you think? This is his livelihood, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely I definitely think, Clemson, Florida, North Carolina, those three are tough. Like those three, I think you go into the season thinking, I know you beat North Carolina last year, but that's going to be on the road. I know North Carolina's not great, but their offense will be. I think you go into the season thinking for sure you have 3 losses, whether you count that as the North Carolina game or the Notre Dame game. You know for sure. I think most people don't expect you to win at Florida or even really compete at Clemson. So I can see that. I think Boston College is a. You want to talk about a swing game? I think that's a swing game, and I think NC State's a swing game. I think there are 4 games where they are decided underdogs, touchdown-ish or more, and then there are 8 games, including Miami. Well, maybe not Miami, where things break a certain way you can win. You're not scared of any of those other 8 teams. You really shouldn't be scared of Notre Dame either. But you're not scared of those 8 teams. I don't put Boston College and NC State anywhere near to the same level, the same favored aspect as I would Clemson and Florida. They're not in the same ballpark. I think those are eminently winnable games. And also, we're in August.
Yeah.
So let's see what these teams look like in November, right? Especially for the Boston College games in November, the North Carolina games in the middle of the season, Miami's late in the year. You just don't know. Like you don't know. Nobody knows what this Florida State team is going to be.
And that's
how could
crux.
you?
And that's the crux of it is that with all these transfers, like no one really knows. No one really knows right now. So that's why things are moving.
But see, I guess that's why I'm certainly not a person that's pie in the sky that thinks, don't pay too much attention to what the Vegas people say. They know what they're doing. Yeah. But in this instance, how could anyone really have a feel for this Florida State team? You know what I mean? Like, you just couldn't. It is not what we saw last season. The quarterback play is going to be better. The receiver, the offense will be better as a whole. We think the defense literally couldn't be worse. And there's been an influx of so many new players.
It could be worse. It could be worse, Corey.
God.
We said that about 18 and 19.
Yeah, you're right. But with the influx of so many players, it's impossible to know what this thing really is going to look like. Now, look, it could be 3-9 bad. Nobody on this show is saying that's out of the realm of possibility. It could be 3-9, 4-8 bad, but it also could get to 7 wins. We'll see how it shakes out, but it could get to 7 wins, 7 or 8 wins, I guess.
I was thinking about this. Part of me is if you think Florida State's going to win 8 or 9 games, wake up, be realistic. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to rain on people's parade. And part of me was thinking about this, Corey, is that if you think Florida State right now, if you're 8 wins is the floor, I think they can get 9, and then who knows, maybe something crazy could happen. I just don't want people to get disappointed when the season doesn't go the way they think it is. But if you're a Florida State fan right now and you think that you're going to win 9 games, I think you're such a optimistic, rosy looking, you look at things just so glass half full that even if things don't go that way, you're probably not going to get bummed because you're probably always a happy person.
You're going to find some silver lining.
Probably.
And that's the way to live life, folks. Okay. Be one of those people. Don't be Corey Clark that knows the Braves, as soon as they get in October, are going to melt away if they make it there. That's how I live my life, and I don't have any hair, and the hair I do have is gray. So don't live it like me. Be one of these positive people that expects 9 or 10 wins, and if you don't get there, oh well. At least I saw somebody. I don't remember if I brought this up on the show or not. That they had a really good. I can't remember who it was. I feel like it was an actor or a musician, but was a big sports fan. And he's just chosen to be positive about his teams. And he's like, because when you go into a game expecting them to lose, and then they lose, well, you've lost twice because you're still disappointed when they lose. It's not like because you went in there expecting them to lose, you feel better about it. You're still hurt a little bit if you're the certain kind of fan. So really, you've lost twice. You've lost in the build-up to the game. You've been negative the whole time, and then you're negative during the game. So why let that team beat you twice? That old saying. So, go in expecting a win and be surprised when they lose. That is a way to live life. You will see things a little differently. It's a little more silver lining, and we all need silver lining in our life.
Hogwash.
I know.
I think about 2004 Florida game. I'm like, there's no way we're going to lose. Bowden never loses. Literally never loses to Florida in Tallahassee. Just doesn't do it. Just doesn't do it. I mean, I think 86 it happened. And it happened. Like, oh, there's no way we're going to lose this game. And then we lost it. Trust me, if I would have gone to that game thinking we're going to lose the game and then we lost, I would not have been as heartbroken and dejected afterwards.
I feel like you would have, though. I feel like you would have. Plus, that's a weird context because clearly they were, nobody expected them to. It wasn't like they were a 30-point underdog. So, yeah, you went in there expecting them to win. But if they would have lost,
well, the Oregon
when they
game,
lost to,
Oregon, like we're not going to lose. We had the month off. We're all right. Mario Edwards did his 15-pound weight loss that he does between national championship and semifinal games. We're good to go. Man, if I would have known, if Oregon would have been this like juggernaut, I'm like, oh, I hope we can, hope we can be competitive, Then we lose. It's just totally deflating.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like you're probably going to be a little deflated anyway, even if you gird yourself for it. Trust me, I've been girded my whole life.
Gird up.
That's all I do is gird. I'm the girder.
Okay.
So it doesn't. Still, when I was girded for the Braves to lose that 3-1 lead to the Dodgers last year at the NLCS. They had a 3-1 lead, and I knew how the starting pitching was lined up, and I was girded for them to lose every single game they played. And they did. I still didn't make it really any easier. You know what I mean? Like, why not just go into it? I mean, it probably makes it a little harder when you're, like, so caught up and then they lose and you're like, But I remember the way Dansby Swanson ran the bases in Game 7. Just because I expected them to lose Game 7 didn't make that any easier to take. So just rose-colored glasses, folks. Silver lining. Pick them to win 9 games, and if they win 5, okay, you're off by 4. But still, you enjoy August more. Right? You enjoy the build-up more because you think you're about to see something special. And in reality, we have no idea what we're going to see. None. It could go literally from 3 wins to 8 wins.
We're watching practice. I think we know.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I think. And again, you don't know who they're playing. Like, you don't know how good Boston College is going to be, or if they have a rash of injuries. That stuff happens.
Correct.
You play them late in the year. There is a chance if Jordan Travis, if he wins the job. And improves as much as he seemed to improve last year as a starting quarterback, and is this crazy kid that stays healthy and accounts for 350 yards a game, they could be a 7 or 8 win team. If things go poorly, they could be a 3-win team. I mean, it is a huge window there, right? I wouldn't have. I don't know that we ever gone into a season with this big a.
It's not going to be boring. So
no, it's not at all because we knew last year that team wasn't going to be great. But also it's hard to even judge last year. It was just such a stupid year. But like say 19, we knew that team wasn't going to be great,
right? And
they weren't. They finished 6 and 7. I thought maybe they could get to 8 wins. They got to 6, and the guy got fired. This year we're looking at 3 to 8, man, 3 to 8. Maybe they win the bowl game. Maybe the bowl game is their 9th win. They go 9-4. That's not crazy.
And last thing before we go out, strong thread on the Tribal Council entitled Spurrier's Restaurant comes from Old Knoll. Apparently, this subscriber's been around since 2002.
Okay.
Evidently, Steve Spurrier's got a restaurant in Gainesville. The menu items have catchy names. So do the rooms. For example, on the menu, there's Ike Hilliard's Catch of the Day for one of their fish dishes. I wonder if they'll reference the Choke-a-Doke for any of their dishes. And the replies are fantastic. Brian Show says, are Aaron Hernandez's killer ribs on the menu?
Oh, okay. Well, that might be a little...
Lethal Simplicity comes in with special of the day, artichoke at Doke.
Okay, that's a good one.
Sadi Noles says, I bet they have an endless wine list, but spelled wine with an H in there.
That is good.
Brian Show comes back. Tim Tebow's Virgin Daiquiri.
Who is this, Brian Show?
Show, yeah, like Showfell, but just SCH.
Brian Show. I feel like Brian Show should be hosting this show.
Yeah,
like he's bringing it. Nice. Good grief, Brian, reach out to us, buddy. We might have you in as a contributor.
Dugout 68 visor tossed salad.
Okay.
So strong. I'm not gonna spill all of it. You go check it out. Warchant.com. Subscribe to the website. Check out the Tribal Council. It's strong. So speaking of strong, always Jeff Cameron, Tom Lang. They'll be 1 to 3 o'clock live on Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel. In case you folks are like, I don't get the ACC network and I don't get Warchant TV. Don't hate Xfinity.
Call up your cable providers and ask for Warchant TV.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, we're killing it on YouTube, right? We're the subscriptions are going through the roof. The views are going through the roof. It's been awesome. So people, keep hitting subscribe, keep hitting that like button, and watch all our stuff. We are flooding you with content.
Flooding the zone. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up Warchant. We'll be live Wednesday night. Tune in then on YouTube. As Corey said, we're fueled by DeLuna Coffee. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening. Come explore our world of coffee. DeLuna Coffee features over 24 different blends. DeLuna's unique roasts can be delivered ground finely for drip coffee makers, coarse for the craft crowd, untouched as a whole bean, or even in convenient K-Cups. Founded in 2014 by the Lemmix family, Ed and Brett are FSU alums and boosters who are extending a special offer to all listeners. Use the promo code WARCHANT15 for a 15% discount. Visit DeLunaCoffee.com and check out their Facebook and Instagram.